Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your kind association. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnav vrinda ki jai. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसी मकरन्दवायुः अन्तर्गतस्वविवरेण चकार तेषां संक्षोभमक्षरजुषामपि चित्ततन्वोः। नेह यत्कर्मधर्माय न विरागाय कल्पते न तीर्थपदसेवायै जीवनपि मृतो हि सः। प्रसङ्गमजरं पाशम् आत्मनः कवयो विदुः स एव साधुषु कृतो मोक्षद्वारम् अपावृतम्। तितिक्षव कारुणिका सुहृदः सर्वदेहिनाम् अजातशत्रवः शान्ताः साधवः साधुभूषणाः सतां प्रसङ्गान् मम वीर्यसंविदो भवन्ति हृत्कर्णरसायना कथा तज्जोषणादाशपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति। हासं हरेरवनताखिललोकतीव्र शोकाश्रुसागरविशोषणमत्युदारम् सम्मोहनाय रचितं निजमाययास्य भ्रूमण्डलं मुनिकृते मकरध्वजस्य। मद्गुणश्रुतिमात्रेण मयि सर्वगुहाशये मनोगतिरविच्छिन्ना यथा गङ्गाम्बसम्बुधौ। लक्षणं भक्तियोगस्य निर्गुणस्य उदाहृतम् अहैतुक्यव्यवहिताया भक्तिपुरुषोत्तमे। सालोक्यसारष्टिसामीप्य सारूप्यैकत्वमप्युत दीयमानं न गृह्णन्ति विना मत्सेवनं जना। यन्नामधेय श्रवणानुकीर्तनात् यत्प्रवलनात् यत्स्मरणादपि क्वचित् स्वादोऽपि सद्यः सवनाय कल्पते कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नुदर्शनात्। अहो बतश्व पचतो गरीयान् यज्जिह्वाग्रे वर्तते नाम तुभ्यं ते पुस्तपस्ते जुहुः सस्नुरार्या ब्रह्मानुचुर्नाम गृह्णन्ति ये ते। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your kind association. Let us continue our study of Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, Text number 9. This chapter is entitled Activities of Lord Shri Kapiladev. मैत्रेय उवाच ईडितो भगवान् एवं कपिलाख्य परपुमान् वाचा विक्लवेवित् आह मातरं मात्रवत्सलः. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Kapiladev, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity. Srimati Devahuti Devi offered beautiful prayers to Bhagwan Kapiladev. Kapildev is very satisfied with those prayers. And now he is going to speak. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.10. Shri Kapila Uvacha Margena mataste susevyeno ditena me आस्थितेन param kashtham achirad avarotsasi. The personality of Godhead, Shri Kapiladev said, My dear mother, the path of self-realization, which I have already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute this system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall very soon be liberated, even within your present body. In Sri Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, क्लेश अधिकतरस्तेषाम avyaktasakta chetasam. Those who are asakta, attached to the avyakta form, the impersonal form of the Lord, and they pursue impersonal liberation, klesha adhiktara. They have too much difficulty. It's a very difficult path because there is no lila, there is no seva, there is no ras. But Bhagwan Sri Kapila is telling here to his beloved mother, Srimati Devahuti Devi, that this marg, this path that I have taught you, susevyena. It is very easy to execute. Very easy to execute. It is susukam kartum avyayam. Very easily performed, and you will achirat. Very soon you will attain the desired goal. It's a very swift process. And even in this body, you can become completely liberated. Avarotsasi means you will attain param kashtham. You will attain the parakashtha of human achievement in this life. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, devotional service is so perfect that simply by following the rules and regulations and executing them under the direction of a spiritual master, one is liberated from the clutches of Maya. That is the power of bhakti. Mam chayo vyabhichareena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatiteta brahma bhuyaya kalpate. If we want to go beyond the modes of material nature, then we have to sincerely perform bhakti. Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasa gira Nikhilash avasthasu Jivan Mukta sa uchyate. Srila Prabhupada in the purport is quoting Srila Rupa Goswami from Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that one can become Jivan Mukta, means one can become liberated even while in this body. Jivan Mukta. We have a material body, but because all the activities have become fully spiritualized by service to Krishna, we are liberated even while in this body. Then Srila Prabhupada quotes definition of liberation. Definition of liberation according to Srimad Bhagavatam is what is mukti, liberation? Muktir swarupena vyavasthiti. Swarupena vyavasthiti. When we are situated in our swarup, in our relationship with Krishna in service, then we are liberated. What is the swarup of the Jeev? Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivera swarup hai Krishnera nityadas. Our swarup is to be servant of Krishna. When we are situated in 100% service to Krishna, we are liberated. Shama Kishori Mataji, what is the definition of liberation?
When we are situated in our Hare Krishna Prabhuji, when we are situated in our Swarup, which is Jivera Swarupa hai Krishnera Nityadas.
Then we are liberated. Because proof is Muktir Swarupena Vyavasthitihi. When we are situated in our Swarup, we are liberated. And the Swarup is Krishnera Nityadas. Jivera Swarup hai Krishnera Nityadas. In Bhakti, we are always engaged as Krishna Das, isn't it? We bow down to Krishna, we worship Krishna, we chant Krishna's name, we follow Krishna's instruction, we eat food that is first eaten by Krishna. So in Bhakti, we are always acting as Krishna Das. Our names are also Shama Kishori Devi Dasi, Mukta Sangha Das, Shama Vallabi Devi Dasi, Shanta Radhika Devi Dasi. We are Das Dasi. So in Bhakti, we are situated in our Swarup of being a servant of Krishna. Therefore, one who is 100% situated in Bhakti without deviation, such a person is liberated. 11. Shraddhat svaitanmatam mahyam jushtam yad brahmavadibhi yena mam abhayam yaya mrutyum richat atad vidaha. My dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. Those who are really on the path of spiritual progress, they will follow the instructions of Bhagwan. They will follow Dharma. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranite. Dharma is what Bhagwan has taught us. Therefore, Sri Kapil Dev is saying, what I have taught you, those who are real transcendentalists, real spiritualists, they will follow this path. You may rest assured that if you traverse this path of self realization perfectly, surely you shall be freed from fearful material contamination. This is very important, my dear friends. A real guru awards abhayam. awards fearlessness to the sincere disciple. If you follow this path perfectly, you shall ultimately reach me. Mam evashyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi. Mother, persons who are not conversant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death. Mrityumrichat atad vidah. Tat vidah means those who are not conversant with this, they will remain in the cycle of birth and death. So both possibilities Bhagwan Shri Kapil Dev is giving. If one follows my path, that person will become liberated and achieve me. If a person does not follow my path, then that person will remain in this material world where there is repeated birth and death, anxiety. It is Kuntha Lok, but that is Vaikuntha Lok, where there is no Kuntha, there is no anxiety. Text 12. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Pradarsha Bhagavan Satim Tam Atmanogatim Swamatra Brahmavadinya Kapilo Numato Yayo. Shri Maitreya Muni said. Who is Shri Maitreya Muni speaking to? Mahatma Vidurji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Kapiladev, after instructing his beloved mother, Shri Devavati Devi, took permission from her, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. Hare Krishna. Pradarsha, he instructed his mother, and then Anumataha, he took permission also. So he is the Guru also, but at the same time, he is also acting as her beloved son. He's taking permission. Mother, do I have your permission? Guru doesn't take permission from disciples. It's not necessary. But Shri Kapil Dev is taking permission from his mother. Oh, mother, can you give me permission to go and become a Muni? And receiving her permission, he left. Even Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took permission from his mother before taking sannyas. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took permission from his mother to reside in Jagannath Puri, although he wanted to live in Vrindavan. So here also Bhagwan Kapil Dev is Kapilo Anumataha Yayav. He left Yayav, but after taking permission from his mother. The purpose, Srila Prabhupada explains, of the advent of Bhagwan Sri Kapil Dev was to teach the Sankhya philosophy of self-realization. Having taught it to the mother, to his mother, he knows that Bhagwan Vyasdev will put this in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam for all time to come. Now his purpose being fulfilled, he left home to teach us Vairagya. Text 13. Sachapi tanako, beg your pardon. Sachapi tanayoktena yoga deshena yoga yuk tasmin ashrama apide saraswatyaha samahita. As instructed by her son, Shri Devahuti Devi also began to practice Bhakti Yoga. Yoga Deshena Yoga Yuk. She became engaged in Yoga. Yoga means to connect with Krishna. She became engaged in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga Adeshena, as per the Adesh, as per the instructions, the orders of her son. And she did Bhakti Yoga practice in that very ashram. Tasmin Ashrama Apide. In that ashram. In this ashram, she practiced Samadhi, complete absorption on Krishna. She practiced Samadhi in the house of Kardama Muni, which was so beautifully decorated with flowers that it was considered the flower crown of the Saraswati river. Ashrama Apide Saraswatya. Saraswati's flower crown, that ashram was so beautiful. And Shri Devoti Devi remained in the ashram of her husband, Shripad Kardama Muni, and performed Bhakti Yoga there on the banks of the holy river Saraswati. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Shri Devavati Devi did not leave her house because it is never recommended for a woman to leave her house. She is dependent. The very example of Devavati was that when she was not married, she was under the care of her father, Shri Swayambhuva Manu. And then Swayambhuva Manu gave her to Shri Kardama Muni in charity, Kanyadan, in Vivaha. And then she was under the care of her husband in her youth. And then her son Kapildev, Shri Kapildev Muni was born. And as soon as the son grew up, her husband left home. Similarly, the son, after discharging his duties towards his mother, also left. She could also have left home, but she did not. Rather, she remained in the safety of her house and began to practice Bhakti Yoga as instructed by her great, illustrious son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Kapila Dev Muni. And because of her practice of Bhakti Yoga, the entire home became just like a flower crown on the river Saraswati. Saraswati river is the goddess of learning. And when he learned, Sri Kapil Dev Muni taught Bhakti Yoga to his mother. The mother ashram became the crown. 14. अभिक्ष्णावगाः कपिशान् जटिलान् कुटिलालकान् आत्मानं चोग्रतपसा बिभ्रति चीर्णं कृशम्. Shri Devoti Devi began to bathe 3 times daily, and thus her curling black hair gradually became grey. Imagine, women have long hair. They oil the hair, and every few days they wash their hair, or maybe once a day maximum they wash their hair. But Devavati Devi, with no hair dryer, nothing, no towels, she was taking bath 3 times a day in the river Saraswati. 3 times a day she was bathing, and therefore her hair became gray. Due to austerity, her body became gradually thin, and she wore old garments. Old garments. She became very thin because of austerities. So she was a yogini. Voluntarily accepting some penances and difficulties, one should take less food and less sleep. These are the procedures for practicing any kind of yoga, whether bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and hatha yoga. Hare Krishna. As practitioners of bhakti, as students of Bhakti Vaibhava, this is an important lesson. Srila Prabhupada writes in the last sentence, last 2 sentences of this purport, last 3 sentences. To be too fat is not very good for spiritually advanced life. Rather, one should reduce, because if one becomes fat, it is an impediment to progress in spiritual understanding. One should be careful not to eat too much, sleep too much, or remain in a comfortable position. Voluntarily accepting some penances and difficulties, one should take less food and less sleep. These are the procedures for practicing any kind of yoga, whether bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and hatha yoga. We should not neglect austerities, saying that अरे हम तो भक्ति के मार्ग में हैं. We don't follow all the austerities. That is for tapasvis. No, we have to balance it, because we don't want to become sense gratifiers also. So it's a delicate balance, my dear friends. We have to not become sense gratifiers in the name of saying that, oh, we are bhakti yogis. Prabhupada says that we should eat less and sleep less. And as we are doing Bhakti Vaibhava, which means we have already done Bhakti Shastri, which means we have been practicing for some time, which means most of us are initiated for many years now. Many of us are second initiated also. So now we have to reduce our sleep, we have to reduce our eating, and we have to not try to be comfortable always. The mentality, my dear friends, is in the material world, the mentality is as we become senior, we become more comfortable. Correct? Mukta Sangha Prabhu? In the company, corporate world, the more senior we are, the more comfortable we are. We are given more privileges. In spiritual life, it should be opposite actually. Even though we see this material tendency spill over into spiritual life also. Hey, I'm senior devotee. Hey, you should respect me. I'm senior. But actually, one who is spiritually advanced will be amanina manadena, will not expect respect, will not expect special treatment, will not expect deference, will not expect special facilities and comforts, will not expect glorification, but will try to become more and more serious in Krishna consciousness, more and more austere. महाप्रभुर भक्तगण वैराग्य प्रधान इह देहि तुष्ट है गौर भगवान. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees the vairagya, the renunciation of his devotees, he becomes very tushta, he becomes very happy, very pleased, very satisfied. And vairag, rag means attachment, raga dvesha. Dvesha means hatred, rag means love, attachment, attraction, and vi means to negate it. So virag means no attachment to material things. One who practices virag is called vairagi. So we have to practice vairagya. 15. Individually, we have to think that as now I am spending more and more years in Krishna consciousness, what austerities I can perform, what things I can cut off from my life, what comforts and luxuries I can minimize. This is an internal thing. Instead of thinking I am many years in Krishna consciousness, now everybody should serve me, everybody should listen to me, everybody should keep me comfortable. One should think, what austerities can I perform? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur could have lived a very comfortable life, being a senior Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur. He had so many children and well-wishers and disciples to serve him. But he took on a very austere life voluntarily, took Babaji Bhesh. Similarly, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada lived very austerely, personally. And so did Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada could have asked for comfortable beds. Srila Prabhupada could have said, let me get my 8 hours of sleep. Don't disturb me. Nidra ahara vihara kadi vijitau chatyanta dinau chayu. That is our path. To give up the comforts and luxuries of life and minimize eating, sleeping, and recreation. Vihar means recreation. Nidra ahara vihara kadi vijitau. 15. प्रजापते कर्दमस्य तपोयोग विजृंभितं स्वगार्हस्थ्यम् अनौपम्यं प्रार्थ्यं वैमानिकैरपि. The home and household paraphernalia of Sri Kardama Muni, who was one of the Prajapatis, was developed in such a way by dint of his mystic powers of austerity and yoga that his opulence was sometimes envied by those who travel in the outer space in Viman airplanes. Even the denizens of heaven sometimes used to envy the luxury and opulence of Kardama Muni because his opulence was attained through practice of pure yoga. It was better than, in many ways, than the denizens of heaven. 16. पयः फेनानिभाषय्य दान्तारुत्म परिच्छदाः आसनानि च हैमानि सुस्पर्शास् taranani cha. The opulence of the household of Kardama Muni is described herein. The bed sheets and mattresses were all as white as the foam of milk. Paya phena. Paya means milk. The foam of milk. Paya phena. The bed sheets and mattresses were all very white. He didn't have to use bleach or downy or any of these high efficiency detergents. It was nice, naturally very nice, very clean. The chairs and benches were made of ivory and were covered by cloths of lace with gold filigree, and the couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows. Very soft pillows. Everything was very nice. Text 17. Swachha sphatika kuddeshu महामारकतेषु च रत्नप्रदीपा आभान्ति ललनारत्नसंयुताः. The walls of the house were made of first-class marble, decorated with valuable jewels. Marble decorated with valuable jewels. There was no need of light, for the household was illuminated by the rays of these jewels. There are certain jewels available in the higher planets which are self-effulgent. Haribol. So no need of LED lights. There were beautiful, priceless diamonds and sapphires, which were not ordinary diamonds and sapphire. They were self-illuminated. Plus, they used to reflect nice light. The female members of the household were all amply decorated with jewelry. And even the servants in the house, assistants in the house, were very beautiful, very opulent, well decorated with jewelry. Purport, Srila Prabhupada says, it is understood from this statement that the opulences of household life are exhibited in valuable jewels, ivory, first class marble, and furniture made of gold and jewels. Even the clothes were decorated with golden filigree. In Marathi, you say na, zarichi sari. So sometimes even the border of a sari is decorated with gold filaments. So like that. 18. गृहोद्यानं कुसुमितैरम्यं भवमरद्रुमैः कूजद्विहङ्गमिथुनं गायन्मत्तमधुव्रतम्. The compound of the main household was surrounded by beautiful gardens with sweet, fragrant flowers and many trees which produced fresh fruit and were tall and beautiful. Nowadays, they plant many trees, but those trees don't give any fruits. They are useless ornamental trees, but not like that. They had chiku trees, mango trees, avla trees, and pomegranate trees, and banana trees, orange trees, lemon tree. All those beautiful, beautiful trees were there. Bale trees, sitafal, ramfal, all these beautiful, useful trees were there. Neem trees, useful trees were there. Not useless ornamental trees that have no value. And because such nice fragrant flowers, kadamba trees, and everything was there, pilu trees, sweet fragrance was there. Therefore, everything was very beautiful. The attraction of such gardens was that singing birds would sit on the trees. Nice cuckoo birds would sit and sing. Peacocks would sit and sing. And their chanting voices, as well as the humming sound of the bees, made the whole atmosphere as pleasing as possible. Because where there are beautiful, fragrant flowers, lotuses and other fragrant flowers like mogra, jasmine, then naturally the bumblebees will come. So everything was very beautiful. The ashram was very simple, very clean, yet all opulence was there. Gold, silver, jewels, ivory, bed sheets, like milk, white like milk. Everything was very nice. Self-effulgent jewels. And on top of that, there are beautiful gardens with fruits and flowers. 19. Yatra pravishtham atmanam vibudhanuchara jaguhu vapyamutpalagandhinyam Kardameno Palalitam. When Sri Devahuti would enter that lovely garden to take her bath in the pond filled with lotus flowers, the associates of the denizens of heaven, the Gandharvas, would sing about Kardamamuni's glorious household life. Her great husband Kardamamuni gave her all protection at all times. Kardamamuni was very great husband. Even when he was physically not there, he had made all arrangements for Devahuti. She had a nice house. There was all safety. There were servants, assistants, everything was there. Water, food. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, the ideal husband and wife relationship is very nicely described in this statement. Kardama gave devotee all sorts of comforts in his duty as a husband. Not that you make your wife work. Go get a job, you earn your own money, fend for yourself. Or you must contribute. Hey, you are educated, you are not contributing to the household, you should also work, you should also bring income. Husband should not put such conditions. And the wife should be satisfied with the income of the husband also. Both ways. Kardamani gave Devahuti all sorts of comforts as a husband. But he was not at all attached to his wife. As soon as his son Kapil Dev was grown up, Kardamani at once left family. So very nicely we have seen this ideal demonstration of Grihastha ashram. And Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that Devahuti demonstrated all the statements of Manu Samhita in her life. Child depended on her father, Swayambhu Manu. Later depended on her husband, Kardama Muni. In spite of all her opulence, she was later dependent on her son only, Kapila Deva. Allowed her husband to go and then allowed her son also to go. She did not say, don't go. She said, okay, you have to go, you go. And she's lived alone in that ashram, practicing bhakti. Hitva tad ipsitat tamam आखण्डलयोषितां किञ्चिच्चकारवदनं पुत्रविश्लेषणातुरा. Although her position was unique from all points of view. Saintly Devotee, in spite of all her possessions, which were envied even by the ladies of the heavenly planets, gave up all such comforts. She was living amongst all these comforts, yet she was living very simply. Yet she was performing austerities. Yes, she was losing weight. Yet she became thin and emaciated. She was only sorry that her great son was separated from her. Putra Vishleshanatura. She was feeling pangs of separation from her son. Why not? Because Son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Sri Devotee was not at all sorry at giving up material comforts, but she was very much aggrieved at separation of her son. It may be questioned here that if Devotee was not at all sorry to give up material comforts of her life, then why is she sorry about losing her son? That attachment to son is also material attachment. Very important question. Why was she so attached to her son? The answer is explained in the next verse. Son was not ordinary son. Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is Sri Kapil Dev Muni. And the purpose of life is to become attracted to Krishna. 21. Vanam प्रव्रजिते पत्या अपत्य विरहातुरा ज्ञात तत्वापभुन्नष्टे वत्से गौरिव वत्सला. Shri Devoti's husband had already left home and accepted the renounced order of life sannyas, and then her only son, Shri Kapiladev, left home. Although she knew all the truths of life and death, and although her heart was cleansed of all dirt, she was very aggrieved at the loss of her son, just as a cow is affected when her calf dies. Vatse Gaur Eva Vatsala. How a cow will feel separation from the calf. Like that, Devoti felt separation from her husband. The example given here is that Devoti became just like a cow who had lost her calf. A cow bereft of her calf cries day and night. Similarly, Devahoti was aggrieved and she always cried and requested her friends and relatives, please bring my son home so that I may live, otherwise I shall die. This intense affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Kapilidev, although manifested as affection for her son, is spiritually beneficial. Therefore, the attachment of Shachimata for Sri Chaitanya Dev is something transcendental. The attachment of Yashoda and Nanda, the tears of Yashoda Maiya and Nanda Baba for Kanha, Krishna, is spiritual. Attachment for a material son obliges one to remain in material existence. But that same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Lord, brings one elevation to the spiritual world in the association of the Lord. Which verse is this? Quickly raise your hand. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Yes, Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it Yanti Devam Vrithadevam? Pitru Yanti
See,
Pitru
here that
Vritaha?
Prabhupada says the same attachment when transferred to the Supreme Lord brings one elevation. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayo vidu sa eva sadhushu krito mokshadvaram apavritam. 22. Tam eva dhyayati devam apatyam kapilam harim babhuva chirato vatsa nispriha tadrishe grihe. Attachment to Krishna and Krishna's pure devotee is not different. Attachment to Shashi Nandan and Sadhu is same. Srila Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, at the time of death, what if I think of you instead of Krishna? And Prabhupada said, you will attend Krishna. Haribol. 22. Tam eva dhyayati devam apatyam kapilam harim babhuva chirato vatsa nispriha tadrishe grihe. O Vidur, Shri Maitreya Muni is saying, O Mahatma Vidur, thus always meditating upon her son, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Kapiladev, Mother Devahuti Devi soon became unattached to her nicely decorated home. She became unattached. Nispriha means unattached. Griha, to her house. Prabhupada says, here is a practical example of how one can elevate oneself in spiritual advancement by Krishna consciousness. But if we are seeing that after spending so many years in Krishna consciousness, yeah, I was more detached when I was a new bhakta. I was more sincere when I was a new bhakta. I was chanting my rounds in the morning when I was a new bhakta. What am I doing now? 15, 20 years into Krishna consciousness. No, our quality, quantity of bhakti must increase. If it is not increasing, we are not properly situated. We should endeavor to uplift ourselves. Here is a great example of Sri Devahuti. Sri Kapiladev is Krishna and he appeared as the son of Devahuti. After Kapiladev left home, Devahuti was absorbed in thought of Kapiladev, her son, and thus she was always Krishna conscious. Her constant situation in Krishna consciousness enabled her to be detached from hearth and home, from kith and kin. She became detached because of her attachment to Krishna. Param drishtva nivartate. She became attached to Krishna. Prabhupada says, unless we are able to transfer our attachment to Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of becoming freed from material attachment. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in Padyavali that just like a young boy is attached to a young girl, or a young girl has infatuation and gets attached to a young boy, similarly, we have to get attached to Krishna. Very well. We feel attraction for Krishna. The devotees adopt the devotional process, hearing from the Supreme Personality of God's pastimes, glorifying His activities, thereby always remembering His beautiful eternal form. By rendering service, becoming His friend, His servant, offering everything to Him, one is able to enter into the kingdom of God. Tato mam tattvato jnatva vishaditat anantaram, Prabhupada says. So we have to be engaged in performing bhakti. मन मना भव मद भक्तो मद्याजी माम नमस्कुरु माम एवश्यसि सत्यम te pratijane priyosi. By practicing bhakti, we will get Krishna. 23. Dhyayati bhagavad rupam yadaha dhyana gocharam sutah prasanna vadanam samasta vyasta chintaya. Thereafter, having heard with great eagerness and in all detail from her son Sri Kapiladev, the eternally smiling personality of Godhead, then Mother Devahuti began to meditate constantly upon the Vishnu form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dhyayati Bhagavad Rupam. Because it's not different. You meditate on Bhagwan Kapiladev, he is Sakshat Vishnu. Texts 24 and 25. Bhakti Pravaha Yogena Vairagena Baliyasa Yuktanusthana Jatena Jnanena Brahma Hetuna Vishuddhena Tadatmanam Atmana Vishvato Mukham Swanubhutya Tirobhuta Maya Guna Visheshanam. Sri Devoti Devi did so with serious engagement. Did what? Bhakti, meditating on Lord Vishnu. Sri Devavati did so with serious engagement in devotional service because she was strong in renunciation. She accepted only the necessities of the body. She became situated in knowledge due to realization of the absolute truth. Her heart became purified. She became fully absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all the misgivings due to modes of material nature disappeared. Swa anubhutya tirah bhuta maya guna visheshanam. Tirabhuta means they disappeared. All the influence of the modes of material nature completely disappeared. She became very pure. 26. Brahmanyavasthita matir bhagavat atma samshraye nivritta jiva patitvat kshina kleshapta nirvritihi. Sri Devoti Devi's mind became completely engaged in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mati Bhagavati. And she automatically realized the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. As a Brahman realized soul, she was freed from the designations of the materialistic conceptions of life. Nivritta Jiva. She became completely free. Thus, all material pangs disappeared. and she attained transcendental bliss. Nirvritihi means she attained transcendental bliss. And Kshina Klesha, all her sufferings went away and she started experiencing spiritual bliss. Spiritual bliss. Srila Prabhupada says in the second paragraph in Sri Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. This means that unless one is freed from the material entanglement and is situated in Brahman, there is no question of entering into the understanding of devotional service or engaging in Krishna consciousness. One has to be situated on the Brahman platform. Another significant point of this verse is that one has to observe the prescribed rules and regulations. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Yukta Ahara Viharascha. When one engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, he still has to eat, sleep, defend, and mate because these are necessities of the body. Ahara Nidra Bhayamaithun. But he performs such activities in a regulated way. You have to eat Krishna Prasad. You have to sleep in a regulated way. Sleep so that your body gets refreshed for bhajan. Sleep in a holy place. Sleep while thinking of Krishna. Sleep after offering obeisances. Similarly, sex life must be reduced. Sex life is meant only for begetting Krishna conscious children. Otherwise, there is no necessity for sex life. Nothing is prohibited, Srila Prabhupada says. The principle is to reduce the duration of sleep and to reduce eating, taking only what is needed to keep the body fit. Nothing is prohibited, but everything is made yukta. Yukta means regulated, with higher purpose in mind. Higher purpose means to please Krishna. Next paragraph. The Sanskrit statement anartha nivritti indicates that this body is unwanted. Artha means something that is wanted, something that is precious. Anartha means something that is unwanted. We are spirit soul, and there was never any need of this material body. But because we wanted to enjoy the material body, we have this body through the material energy under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Karmana Daivanetrena. As soon as we are re-established in our original position of servitorship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swarupena Vyavasthiti, we begin to forget the necessity of the body, and at last we forget the body itself. Hare Krishna. Devahuti was fully instructed by her son Kapildev on how to concentrate her mind on the Vishnu form in full detail. Following the instructions of her son in the matter of devotional service, she contemplated the form of the Lord within herself, Lord in the heart, with great devotional love. That is the perfection of Brahman realization or the mystic yoga or devotional service, to capture the Lord in the heart. Srila Prabhupada quotes, in the 6th chapter of Sri Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna concludes by saying, Yogi namapi sarvesham mad gatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samay yukta tamo mata. Best yogi is one who is always thinking of me. I'm thinking, should we finish this chapter? No? Shama Kishore Madare? Ho ki no? No. Mukta Sangha Prabhu. We don't have class on Thursday. So Thursday is the exam. Okay, okay, we'll stop. We'll start. We'll continue from 27. And then how many? Mataji, please let us finish. We have only 37. Ekadashi Tithi has started. Shama Kishore Mataji wants to say something deadly. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. No, I wanted to ask some questions, Prabhuji. If you finish it today, then the exam will be due. We are not ready. I am not ready for
Hare
the
Krishna.
exam.
I have to still go and buy fruits from Kroger. Tomorrow is Ekadashi. Radha has been
Hare Om.
blessed. So, okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue from verse 27. Krishna willing, next week. Day after tomorrow, no class because we are going to California to attend the Vyas Puja of Shripad Vaisheshika Maharaj. So I'll be in flight, and you use that day for preparing for the upcoming exam. And then, Krishna willing, on Tuesday, we will have the last session of this module. I forgot which module we are in, but whichever module we are in, It will be the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, and then we will do Shri Ganeshaya Namaha of the fourth canto. Hari Bol.
Very well.
Thank you. So now we'll take questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the very nice class. I had a few questions actually. This
Hmm.
last verse that we read, 26, it says that unless one is at the Brahma Bhuta platform, there is no question of entering into understanding of devotional service or engaging in Krishna consciousness.
Hmm.
But I am not there. A lot of devotees may not be there, but we are still trying to practice Krishna consciousness. So, how is it that we are practicing without being at that stage?
ब्रह्मभूत प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न कांक्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद भक्तिम लभते परा. We can enter into bhakti, we can obtain bhakti when we are on the spiritual platform. Brahma Bhuta means spiritual platform. Spiritual platform means Samaha Sarveshu Bhuteshu. Mama Amsha Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. To see everyone as spiritual, to be situated on the spiritual platform. It is true that we are not there and we are struggling. We keep falling down. When His Holiness Srila Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj came to Atlanta few days ago, our Gaur Sundar Charan Prabhu was telling me, is he here? He is not here. But Gaur Sundar Charan Prabhu was telling me, my dear friend, he was saying that His Holiness Srila Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj was asked this question, exactly what you asked. That bhakti is such an elevated process, it's path of purity, but we are very impure. We are very insincere. We have many fallacies, many shortcomings. So, what is the hope? You want to know Maharaj's reply? Srila Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj said, what choice do we have? What other choice do we have? We only have bhakti. There is no other choice. Or was it His Holiness Srila Rompa Swami Maharaj? I think it was Srila Rompa Swami Maharaj who said this when asked, what choice do we have? So yes, we are not there, and it seems like an impossible task to be situated on the Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. There was one Vyas Puja going on, and one devotee got very angry at another devotee, and they had a fight right there during the Vyas Puja. And then somebody said, "Ki, you should not get so angry. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Na shochati na kanchati." So yes, we know as devotees, we struggle, we slip, we fall, we get these bursts of anger sometimes. What to do? Our only hope is the mercy of Shri Nityananda Prabhu. Premamatta Nityananda Kiva Avatar Uttama Adhama Kichu Nakare Vichar. So we should say Jai Nitai, and keep going, keep trying to improve ourselves. Keep trying to improve ourselves. But the more we chant, the more we do puja seva, the more we hear, the more we read, the more we do smarana of Krishna, more we not just mechanically practice bhakti, but we actually start contemplating smaranam also, chintanam. Then slowly, we are able to enter that platform. And we may not realize it, but other people will realize it. That Shama Kishori Mataji has become very Prasannatma. Look how her eyes are closed and she's not disturbed by anything. So people may realize, we may not realize. I have seen that. Sometimes um, one devotee was recently telling me he went to meet a very great advanced Vaishnava and said, Prabhuji, that devotee was so peaceful and so effulgent, and there was such a spiritual energy about that person. And then that devotee, I remember, once came to our hospital, and I had the good fortune of serving so many, the phlebotomist, the nurses, the medical assistants, the patient transporters, so many of them later on came and told me that person was very special. There was such a spiritual aura, such a positive energy around that person. So many times we may not realize, and that person is a friend, and I did not realize. I didn't feel any spiritual aura. I didn't see any effulgence. But the nurses and the phlebotomist and the physical therapist and the patient transporter, they felt. So sometimes we may not realize, but as we practice bhakti, we are making progress. Every Maha Mantra we chant, like I always say, every Tulsi Pradakshana we do, every Bhagavatam class we hear, every shloka we recite, we are making progress. So, like that. I hope this helps, Mataji.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. But here it said that without being on this platform, there is no question of engaging in Krishna consciousness. So what we are doing right now, that is sadhana bhakti, but is it not the actual Krishna consciousness, or?
It is actual Krishna consciousness because we are trying to obey our Gurudev, we are trying to please Krishna. Yogyata vichare, you are asking Yogyata, कि we don't have Yogyata. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Yogyata vichare kichu nahi paye, tomara karuna sar. We are karuna sar. All we are made up of is mercy. Therefore, we do our sadhana, but actually the truth is that we are not sadhana siddha, we want to be kripa siddha. Sadhana is meant to attract the mercy of Gaur Nitai. And we are practicing bhakti to the best of our ability with the intention that it will attract the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And when Sri Nityananda Prabhu recommends us to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu will accept. He accepted Jagai Madai on the recommendation of Nityananda Prabhu. So therefore we are always hopeful. Ashabadda Samutkantha Nama Gane Sadaruchi. We should always be hopeful and we should completely depend on the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. What we are practicing now is bhakti. And what we are practicing now is pleasing to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And therefore Sri Nityananda Prabhu is our hope. And by Sri Nityananda Prabhu I mean the Akhanda Guru Tattva. Akhanda Guru Tattva. That is our hope. We are not qualified. But if we try to please our Gurudev, Gurudev said, chant 16 rounds nicely. We try to chant as nicely as possible. Follow the four regulative principles. We try to follow the four regulative principles to the best of our ability. Serve in the mood of Dasanudas. We try to be Dasanudas to the best of our ability. And we keep going. And we make mistakes. And we realize the mistakes. And we beg forgiveness. We see what went wrong. How I fell in this trap. How I slipped. What was the misstep? What was the mistake? And we take precautions. We try to avoid. And again we fail, but we try to avoid. We keep going, keep going, keep by our efforts. Krishna is pleased. What did Lord Krishna tell Gopakumar when he embraced him in Golok Vrindavan? How much you have gone through, how many failures, how many setbacks, how much oppression, how many insults you have tolerated to attain me. And I'm very grateful to you. Like that. So we should just keep going the way our Gurudev has said, and aim should be I don't know Krishna, I don't know Mahaprabhu, I know my Gurudev. If Gurudev is pleased, then I know Krishna is pleased. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. And ultimately, we are unqualified, we are a failing grade student, but we are depending on the grace of Shri Nityananda Prabhu. We are dependent on the mercy of Guru Tattva. They will make us qualified. That is always our conviction. That I am not qualified, no matter how much I do, I will never become qualified, but I will try to become the best version of myself. But still, I will not be qualified, even though I become the best version of myself. I know that. And therefore, I depend on the mercy of Shri Guru. I depend on the mercy of Shri Nityananda Prabhu. Okay, Mathari?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have time for two more
Yes, we have time.
questions?
But always be hopeful. Always be hopeful, and our only hope is Shri Guru. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. So, Prabhuji, in verse 11, Kapil Dev is telling Devahuti that you practice this path and you shall ultimately reach me. But she had, you'll ultimately attain me. But she had already attained him, right? So, what was the need for her to practice this?
Attain me in the spiritual world.
Okay.
You'll attain me in the spiritual world. Because in this material world, the position is never stable and secure. Because in this material world, how Kapiladev left her. But crying in separation from Kapiladev cannot be the sthai bhav, cannot be the eternal situation. So you will attain me means you will attain me in one of the rasas of the spiritual world, in the spiritual world, where there is no more birth, no more separation from me. The eternal life of love and seva. That is the meaning. You will attain me in the spiritual world.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
And then the last question I had is verse 19. There's a line that according to Manu, women should not have independence at any stage of life. And in today's world, we see that practically this is not possible. And sometimes even for devotees, where there may not be like a male member or, there is divorce that has happened and women are independent and they have to operate like that. So how should we understand this sentence in today's world?
We see quite often when a woman is not protected by father or husband or a grown up son, there is a high chance of unscrupulous men or unscrupulous elements in society trying to exploit or take advantage of the abala. That is just the nature of this world. Therefore, what Sri Manu Samhita says is correct. And the nature of Kali Yuga is that Varnashram Dharma will be lost. So, Varnashram is lost today in society. There are no Brahmanas who, without remuneration, are there to teach Shastra and give spiritually wise counsel to the king. There are no Rajarshis ruling. There is no monarchy. It's gone. Nowhere you see monarchy. It's all democracy or communism or something else. Where is one country on this planet today where the Vedic Sanatan Dharma is followed? Tell me. Not one. India is the place where so many Leelas of Bhagwan took place. It's a birthplace. Well, Sanatan Dharma is eternal, but it is the focus of Sanatan Dharma, the place where Sanatan Dharma was most prominent, most alive. And see what is happening in India today. There is no Sanatan Dharma. There is secularism and democracy. Just analyze what is democracy. Democracy means whatever the majority of the population says, that will happen. If majority of the population says Dawood Ibrahim should be the prime minister, then Dawood Ibrahim is the prime minister. Democracy means the vote of a Paramhamsa Baba and the vote of a rapist has same value. Everybody's vote is equal. How does that make sense? In which law book that makes sense? That every human being's vote is having the same value. How does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense. So democracy means whatever the majority says, that will happen. But majority can be wrong, especially when there is so much propaganda. There are no checks and balances that yes, the people can vote and they can express their opinion, but These are some checks and balances. These are some boundaries. A person with low character cannot become a leader. But nothing like that. There are so many examples of convicted felons winning elections from the jail. This is democracy. In such a society, there cannot be varnashram dharma. And no varnashram dharma means women will find themselves in situations where they do not have a protecting male member. We have brought this upon ourselves by destroying varnashram dharma. When we have things like secularism and feminism and democracy and liberal movement, then what do we expect? There are abortions, alcohol is legal, gambling is legal. What do we expect in society? The punishment is so weak. Punishment takes so many years of court case. People get away with murder, people get away with rape. The law system is so weak. What do we expect? There is no deterrence for criminals in today's society. See what happened in Dallas? In broad daylight, the motel manager was beheaded in front of the wife and a teenage son. And he was already a convicted felon. He had already committed child molestation, and yet he was walking free. How can a child molester walk free? This is the incompetent nature of the management system that we have in place in the world today. Completely incompetent. People have their own beliefs and then they just keep fighting this team, this party, this coalition, that coalition, and nothing gets done. There should be a king who has full authority and power, who is well trained right from the time of Garbhadan Samskar, he's trained up nicely. And there are completely pure Brahmanas who know Shastra, who are there to guide and advise. Spiritually advanced people who don't expect a farthing from the king in remuneration. They are not dependent on the king financially. They are Vairagis. They only give proper advice for the welfare of society. Then it will work when there is strong leadership. But there is no strong leadership. And therefore, we will find this when women don't have a protector. So, what to do? They should try to do their best. If they don't have a male protector, then they should at least have some circle around them of people who will protect them, like some sister or some auntie or some brother-in-law or somebody who is well-wisher and some friends maybe. But we all need protection because there are so many unscrupulous, evil people in society today. So if a woman is in that situation, she should try to do her best and be protected as much as possible and follow certain rules like not going out late and having some security system in the house, being on guard. One hospital employee, not hospital employee, actually, she was a resident doctor in residency. She had come from another state and she just disappeared, didn't show up to the hospital. And the program director and colleagues got worried and they started making phone calls. She was living in an apartment here. They went to the apartment and she was missing. And the apartment door was open. And there was just no trace of her. She just like disappeared from the surface of this earth. And you go to Walmart even today, there are so many photos of people missing. And the investigation went on, went on, went on. Finally, they found her credit card in the apartment opposite her apartment, her debit card. So then they arrested the person, and then it turned out that she was, now analyze this, she is a resident doctor staying in that apartment close to the university hospital. They have a common laundry. She didn't have a laundry in her room, in her apartment. So they have a common laundromat in the apartment system. She was holding the laundry bag. She just came out of the house and she was just closing the door like this. Her back was to the opposite apartment. As she was holding the bin and closing the door, that guy came from behind, just grabbed her and just pulled her straight back into his apartment and shut the door. And then raped her and killed her and disposed of her body and buried the body somewhere in the fields. But when he was doing whatever he was doing, she took out the debit card from her pocket and pushed it under the furniture. So when the police were looking at that apartment, they found that how her debit card is here. So like that, and then finally that fellow confessed. Horrible things happened, Mataji. She was hardly 25, 26-year-old woman living alone in an apartment. What to do? This world is a very nasty place, and we just have to be careful. And women's liberation, women's independence comes at a very heavy cost of exploitation and danger. It is, nobody likes to say this, but the fact is that generally speaking, physically women are weaker because they don't have testosterone. It's just a biological fact. Testosterone builds muscle mass and gives strength, and women lack testosterone. So, generally speaking, women cannot be as strong as men. And the fact is, there are some wicked men in this world. So, how do you protect a woman? You need a strong man. So, what to do, Mataji? This is Kali Yuga, and we just have to be careful. We should pray for those who don't have any protector. Right?
Roji, growing up, always I'd heard criticism of Manu because of statements like this, where he says that women should not be independent. But now, through our Bhakti Vaibhava classes, I'm seeing the other side of it and, the reasons of why that statement is made. So it is making more sense now, where it's coming from. Because if you just look at it as a blanket statement, it can offend some people. But now I'm getting a more deeper understanding into that statement.
Power of false propaganda. Those who criticized, those who criticize Manu Samhita, they simply don't understand. What can we say? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for giving so much time to explain. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. But I will take this opportunity to say that now this is not Bhakti Vaibhava, but this is Vaishnava Seva in some way. Devotees should take care of their protection and safety. We are totally dependent on Krishna. However, we should take some precautions also. When Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj was staying in Man Mandir in 1971, there were some dacoits there, mafia people who used to come, and also there was a man-eating leopard, very active in the Gaivarvan area at that time. But what to do? We cannot leave Radha Man Bihari. Somebody has to stay there and serve Radha Man Bihari. In those days, there was no other much civilization there where the deities could be served. So Sri Ramesh Babaji Maharaj and Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj stayed on the mountain top, but they kept sticks with them to show Krishna, to show Radharani that we are doing something for our protection. The best that they had, they didn't have swords, they didn't have guns, they didn't have bear spray or anything like that. The point is that we should do our best to protect ourselves. So I urge devotees to consider doing what they feel is appropriate to be equipped for some self-defense. It may mean taking some self-defense classes. It may mean carrying a pepper spray. It may mean keeping a gun at home. But devotees should consider something according to their situation where they live. There are some cities like Houston Atlanta, which have very high crime rate. So this may not apply to somebody who lives in Portland, for example, where the crime is less. But depending on where you stay in a place like Houston or Atlanta, then a lot of bad guys have guns. And we should take precautions, not go out after 10 p.m. That's what I try to follow. Unfortunately, with my hospital shifts, many times I'm not able to follow that rule. But carrying a pepper spray or something is a good idea, I feel, provided you know how to use it. I'm just taking this opportunity to say this. Nothing to do with Bhakti Vaibhava, but it will give me great pain if a devotee meets with some attack or assault, as His Holiness V.B. Govind Maharaj wrote famously in that article, where a Russian devotee was raped in Vrindavan while doing Vrindavan Parikrama. That I'm feeling very angry, and so many things he wrote. I remember reading that article. So we don't want devotees to suffer. We don't want anyone to suffer. Therefore, I urge devotees that world is a dangerous place, and we should happily practice Krishna consciousness. At the same time, we have to be practical, and we have to take practical steps to avoid being in dangerous situations, going to a gas station late at night to fill gas. We should plan. We should fill gas in the daytime, broad daylight. Less likely that there will be some dangerous elements in broad daylight. It's possible, but less likely. At night after 10 p.m., there are people drunk, there are crazy people going around. So we should avoid late nights. Simple things like that. We should take care, maybe doing some course in self-defense, how to protect oneself in case of an attack, um, situational awareness, just being on the phone constantly, tuck, 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 tuck. That is not good. So many things happen because people are not aware what is happening around them. So situational awareness is important. So these things devotees should take care so that we are able to uh, preserve life and do more bhajan in this very rare human form of life that we have received by the mercy of Krishna. Hare Krishna. So these are some thoughts. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Take care. So no class on Thursday, but we will meet on Tuesday. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please say Hari Bol to me, so I will feel very happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna,
Prabhu ki
Hari
jai.
Ram
Bol,
Jai.
Hari
Bol
Bol,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.